For thousands of years, humanity has carved its beliefs into stone. Empires rose, civilizations vanished, but one mysterious symbol remained. Across distant continents separated by oceans and centuries, ancient cultures created nearly identical figures, beings holding strange handbag-like objects. Why does this symbol appear in Mesopotamia, Mesoamerica, Göbekli Tepe, ancient India, and even among forgotten South American civilizations? Enjoying this mystery? Please like and subscribe for more. Coincidence, or evidence of a shared forgotten origin? In ancient Mesopotamia, the Sumerians described powerful beings known as the Anunnaki. These entities were said to descend from the heavens and bring knowledge to humanity. According to ancient texts, these beings taught mathematics, astronomy, agriculture, architecture, and kingship itself. Some researchers believe these stories may represent misunderstood encounters with advanced visitors. But among all the strange symbols left behind, one object appears again and again: the handbag, carried by gods, priests, and mysterious beings. Why? The strangest part of this enduring mystery is not the object itself, as peculiar as it is. The true enigma, the detail that challenges our entire understanding of the ancient world, is not it is, but it appears. This single specific symbol emerges from the stone and dust of civilizations separated by thousands of miles, and in some cases, thousands of years. Cultures with no officially accepted record of contact, no shared language, no known trade routes, all created nearly identical depictions of this curious object. It is a global phenomenon, a silent signature left on the bedrock of human history. Our journey begins in modern-day Turkey, at a site that shattered our timeline of civilization, Göbekli Tepe. Here, more than 11,000 years ago, before the invention of pottery, writing, or even the wheel, hunter-gatherers erected the world's first known temple. And carved onto its monolithic T-shaped pillars, among reliefs of fearsome animals, we find them: 3 distinct handbags, etched in stone by a people we barely understand. This is the oldest known appearance of the symbol, a sophisticated motif present at the very dawn of organized society. Who were these beings depicted carrying them? And what message were they trying to preserve for millennia? Thousands of years later and 1,000 miles away, in Mesopotamia, the cradle of civilization, the symbol reappears with stunning clarity. Here, in the art of the Sumerians, Akkadians, and Assyrians, the handbag is carried by powerful, non-human entities. The Apkallu, wise, winged genies, sometimes with the heads of eagles, are almost always depicted holding it. They were said to be divine beings who brought the gifts of civilization and knowledge to humankind after a great flood. In their other hand, they often carry a pine cone-like object believed to be used for purification or anointing. The two objects seem to work in tandem, a sacred toolkit of the gods. Now we cross an ocean. In Central America, among the dense jungles and towering pyramids of the Olmec, Maya, and Aztec cultures, the same figure emerges from the stone. A relief from the Olmec site of La Venta, dating back to 900 BC, shows a figure carrying the unmistakable bag. Later, the great feathered serpent god, Quetzalcoatl, a bringer of knowledge, calendars, and books to the people of ancient Mexico, is depicted arriving from the sea, carrying the very same object. The pattern continues to ripple across the globe. We see echoes of it in ancient Egypt, associated with rites of passage and the weighing of the heart. We find it in the intricate carvings of the Maori people of New Zealand, held by their ancestors arriving from the heavens. In Indonesia, at a temple called Candi Suku, Stone reliefs depict it in scenes of creation and craftsmanship. From Turkey to Mesopotamia, from Mexico to New Zealand, the symbol is there. A silent, persistent thread woven through the tapestry of our most foundational cultures. How is this possible? Mainstream archaeology suggests independent invention, that different cultures simply arrived at a similar design for a practical object, like a basket or a pouch. But can that explain the uncanny consistency? The specific shape, the handle, the context of it being held by gods and civilizing heroes? Could it be a coincidence? A shared primordial memory buried deep within the human psyche? Or is it what fringe theorists have claimed for decades, hard evidence of a forgotten global civilization, or contact with a single, traveling group of teachers? The interpretations are as varied as the cultures that carved them. Some believe the handbag represents sacred knowledge, a container for the divine laws and sciences gifted to humanity, the ultimate standard of civilization. Others suggest a more tangible technological purpose. They argue it symbolizes a power source, a piece of advanced equipment, or a toolkit for genetic engineering, the seeds of life carried by cosmic gardeners. Was it a simple container for collecting water or seeds? A standard of measurement? A weapon? A medical kit? The symbol is specific enough to be recognizable, yet abstract enough to defy easy explanation. It is a question that hangs in the air of every ruin where it's found. A symbol of power, of knowledge, of creation. Or perhaps a relic of a history so profound and so transformative that humanity has completely, and perhaps deliberately, forgotten it. Mainstream history paints a familiar picture of our ancient ancestors. It tells us that civilizations rose slowly from the dust, armed with little more than copper chisels, wooden rollers, and sheer brute force. We are taught to imagine armies of laborers, toiling for generations under a punishing sun, their methods rudimentary, their science in its infancy. The narrative is one of primitive beginnings, but when we look away from the textbooks and turn our gaze to the silent monuments they left behind, the evidence carved into stone tells a profoundly different story. A story that defies explanation and challenges the very foundations of this accepted history. Consider the megaliths. At sites like Ollantaytambo in Peru, we find granite blocks weighing over 50 tons, quarried from a mountaintop, moved down one mountain, across a river, and then hoisted high up another. In Baalbek, Lebanon, the foundation stones of a Roman temple, known as the Trilithon, weigh an estimated 800 tons each. How were these colossal blocks moved with such impossible precision, fitted together so perfectly that not even a razor blade can slide between them? The official explanations, ramps and rollers, begin to feel inadequate, almost absurd, in the face of such monumental engineering. The mystery deepens when we examine the details. In Egypt, we find granite boxes in the Serapeum of Saqqara, each weighing 100 tons with their lids, polished to a mirror finish with perfectly flat surfaces and 90-degree angles. At Pumapunku in Bolivia, we find diorite stone, one of the hardest materials on Earth, cut with the precision of a modern laser. These are not the marks of primitive tools. They are the hallmarks of an advanced, sophisticated technology. Cuts so accurate, holes drilled so perfectly, they resemble the work of a machine. What kind of machine? And powered by what? Perhaps the answers are not buried in the earth, but in the echoes of their stories. Legends from every corner of the globe speak of a golden age, a time when the gods walked among mortals and bestowed upon them great gifts. They speak of lost knowledge, of hidden sciences, and of powerful technologies that have long since vanished into the mists of time. The Vimanas of ancient Indian texts described as flying palaces. The Ark of the Covenant, a device said to possess immense power, and of course, the mysterious handbag carried by the gods. A growing number of independent researchers and engineers believe these ancient civilizations possessed a profound understanding of the universe that we are only just beginning to rediscover. A knowledge of physics, of acoustics, of frequency and vibration. Could they have mastered sonic levitation, using sound to render massive stones weightless? Did they understand the principles of sacred geometry, not as art, but as a functional science to manipulate the very fabric of reality? This brings us back to the symbol that started our journey, the handbag. Could it be more than just a symbol of power? Could it represent a literal tool, a device containing this lost knowledge? Perhaps a power source, or a technological toolkit that enabled these impossible feats of engineering. A portable archive of the sciences that built their world. The handbag appears precisely where these architectural anomalies are found, a silent witness to a technology we cannot comprehend. The truth remains locked in stone and shrouded in myth. The evidence on the ground presents a powerful challenge to the history we've been told. It suggests a chapter of the human story has been torn from the book, leaving us with a profound and unsettling mystery. What was the source of this incredible knowledge, and what became of it? For now, we are left only with questions and the humbling recognition that we may never truly know. But the stones hint at an even more profound secret. A secret not about what humanity could build, but about what humanity. And among the most controversial theories, one that emerges from the same ancient texts that describe the handbags and the watchers from the sky, is the idea that humanity itself was engineered. Among the thousands of clay tablets unearthed from the sands of modern-day Iraq, a story emerges that challenges the very foundations of human history. It is a narrative that, for centuries, has been dismissed as pure mythology. But what if it isn't? Certain interpretations of these ancient Sumerian texts, most famously by the author Zecharia Sitchin, propose a literal account of our own Genesis. They describe a group of powerful beings, the Anunnaki, who came to Earth from a distant, unseen planet in our solar system. According to these controversial translations, the Anunnaki were not here as conquerors, but as prospectors, in search of a precious resource: gold. The labor was grueling, and their own workers rebelled. They needed a solution. They needed a workforce. The tablets speak of a decision to create a primitive worker, an Adamu, by taking an existing species on Earth and upgrading it. According to these theories, early humans may have been genetically altered. The text described the Anunnaki's chief scientist, a being named Enki, taking the essence of an existing hominid, perhaps Homo erectus, and combining it with their own genetic material. The goal was not to create an equal, but a servant, intelligent enough to understand commands and operate tools, yet subservient to its masters. Some believe the Anunnaki modified these existing hominids to create a new intelligent species, designed for labor. Is this simply a creation myth, a poetic allegory for humanity's divine spark? Or could it be a distorted memory of a technological procedure? Mainstream science, of course, dismisses such notions. The theory of evolution, supported by a mountain of fossil and genetic evidence, provides a clear, naturalistic path for the rise of Homo sapiens. Yet even within this established framework, there are anomalies that continue to puzzle researchers. Modern researchers point to mysterious gaps in human evolution. The most significant of these is the explosive and rapid brain development our species experienced. The human brain tripled in size over a relatively short evolutionary period, a leap that defies simple explanation. This wasn't just about size, it was a complete rewiring. The emergence of the neocortex gave us language, abstract thought, and self-awareness on a level unprecedented in the animal kingdom. This sudden cognitive revolution is often called the Great Leap Forward, and with it came unexplained leaps in civilization. For millions of years, our ancestors' technology was limited to simple stone tools. Then, seemingly overnight, we see the birth of agriculture, complex societies, mathematics, astronomy, and monumental architecture. It's as if a switch was flipped, and humanity suddenly awoke from a long slumber, already possessing a blueprint for civilization. Proponents of the ancient astronaut theory argue that this great leap was not a leap at all, but a push. They point to specific genetic markers, like the fusion of our second chromosome, a unique trait not found in other primates, and so-called junk DNA, as potential evidence of ancient genetic manipulation. They ask, could the stories of the gods creating mankind from clay and breathing life into them be ancient pre-scientific memories of genetic engineering? The parallels are tantalizing. The Sumerian texts describe mixing the clay of the earth, the hominid, with the essence of the gods, their DNA. They speak of a mold and a birth goddess who oversees the process, echoing the modern concepts of genetic templates and surrogate mothers. Or are we simply projecting modern science onto ancient myths? Are we seeing the reflection of our own technological prowess in the stories of our ancestors, mistaking their poetry for a lab report? The gaps in our evolutionary past are real. The sudden explosion of human intellect is a genuine scientific mystery. Whether the answer lies in the stars or within the intricate, unwritten code of our own DNA is a question that remains unanswered. Perhaps the greatest mystery is not what these symbols mean, but why they were repeated so carefully across time. Ancient civilizations disappeared, yet the symbols survived. The handbag, the winged beings, the stories of creators descending from the sky. Are these only myths? Or fragments of a forgotten chapter of human history? What if humanity is older than we were told? What if ancient civilizations knew something we have forgotten? And what if the answers were hidden in plain sight all along?